Hello, this is Ann Rolfe of Mentoring Works, and welcome to this webinar. I'm so excited to be here today. This is quite different to the webinars I normally run. In fact, I won't be running it. I'll be a participant here today. So welcome, everybody. I'd especially like to thank Sean Mintz and Justin Baker of MentorCity, who are going to be presenting this webinar for us today and talking to us really about how the platform MentorCity can help us in measuring performance, looking at return on investment in mentoring, as well as giving a quality experience to mentors and mentees, and importantly, to mentoring leaders and organizations. So you can really see what's going on. So enough from me. Thank you very much for joining us, and I'll throw over to Justin Baker now to take over. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ann. Appreciate it. And big thanks from our end to Ann for organizing all of this and inviting us to present today. We really appreciate that. And a big thanks to everybody for signing up and spending a little bit of time with us from wherever you're joining in from around the world. So a little bit about us, our background, a quick introduction from us. So my name's Justin Baker. I'm the VP of Partnership Development at MentorCity. And on the call also with us is Sean Mintz, who's the president of MentorCity. We're really excited to be joining you all today. I was going to say this evening, but we're all from around the world. So sometimes some of you folks are in the morning on Friday. Here it's 6 o'clock in the evening, Thursday evening. So thank you once again for joining in. I thought it'd be a little bit fun. We want to make this webinar as interactive as possible. And so number one, if as we're going along here, if anyone has any questions, please just raise a hand. We're happy to slow down along the way and take questions and go through anything that you may want to discuss. And also, I thought it'd be fun to get us started. If everyone wants to type in the chat where you're dialing in from around the world. We're here from Toronto, Canada. So that's us on our end from Sean and I. Would love to hear where everyone else is calling in from.
Ooh, Alberta.
Oh, we've got Alberta, Canada. Okay, fantastic.
Our neighbor. Oh, Australia.
Australia and the Philippines, fantastic.
Sounds so nice. Southwest Rocks. It sounds like I need to go there.
Yes, it's a holiday town.
Manila.
Australia, North
Manila
Carolina,
well.
Fantastic. Oh, fantastic. All different areas of Australia being represented. Simone, welcome. Ron, welcome. Neil, welcome. Lorna. Pleasure to have everyone. We're really excited to have this opportunity to chat with everyone today. So thanks once again. What I thought we'd start off, I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen here, and I thought we'd jump into the slideshow. Just give me one quick second. All right, so we can get us started here. So we're really excited to have this opportunity to talk a little bit more about our platform and some of the returns that organizations from around the world are realizing from participating and utilizing it. We have everything from small businesses all the way to large, Fortune 1000s on our platform, government agencies, corporations, nonprofits, charities, accreditation organizations, you name it. So it really spans the gamut. So for us today, what we thought we would do is talk a little bit more about some of the returns that organizations are realizing and how they're seeing it. At its core, MentorCity has extremely intelligent algorithms that essentially connect people together and bring people together to form relationships that have impactful value in a number of ways. And we'll start to talk about some of those, later on with some of the examples. As well, though, we're a platform that helps to create community within organizations. We check off kind of three big boxes that organizations, when I talk more about organizations, doesn't matter if you're a corporation or a nonprofit, that people are really mindful about these days. And what I'm talking about is topics like diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we'll touch on those a little bit more in the presentation. But to start us off, I'll talk a little bit about us. So we've been around for well over a decade now. We're an intuitive cloud-based mentoring software that ultimately cultivates the future of organizations and the individuals in and around us through the power of relationships, because that's what it's all about. It's about connecting people together and leveraging knowledge and helping one another get better at whatever it might be. It's kind of interesting when we talk and we look a little bit about the traditional, and we'll call it the old school way of mentoring. We'll call it the manual method versus our platform, which would be the MentorCity method, and the differences between the two. Sean, are we on the next slide? Can everyone see this, the manual versus
No,
MentorCity slide?
you have to just jump a couple slides and maybe view the presentation.
Oh, hold on. Let's try this again. Can everyone see the manual versus MentorCity slide right now?
Mhm.
Yes, is there a way to expand the main slide? In the far left corner, far left column, I see all the series of slides, but I don't really need to see that. If I can just focus on the slide that you're talking about at the time.
Justin, click on slideshow on the top menu bar
Yep, no, I did that.
and
Sorry
view
about this.
slideshow.
View, yep, slideshow.
Yep, click on that.
So we're on About Us, and now I've moved to the
Or you could just click an X on the left-hand screens, like where it has all the different slides. You could close that down so it makes it like bigger.
I don't see that on my screen. I'm just seeing the manual versus MentorCity slide right now. Apologies.
No worries. There's also like on the you don't see like the zoom thing on the bottom right.
You're in presenter mode and you're sharing the wrong screen, most likely.
Okay, let me try this again. Sorry, folks. Give me one quick second. I'm gonna try one other thing. I'm just gonna share my entire screen. Let's just try it like this. How's that?
That's good.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that, folks. Technical difficulties, apologies. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the difference between the manual method of mentoring and delivering and administering mentoring programs versus our platform. Traditionally, in manual environments, we're seeing companies and individuals using Excel spreadsheets to connect people, to learn about profiles, and to figure out matches. On our platform, members are building a profile on the platform that is going to house all of the information about them, their strengths, their weaknesses, the areas that they want to develop, their backgrounds. So everything is in the platform itself. So there's no need to kind of do that cross-comparison analysis. In the manual method, we're having to manually, again, compare profiles to matches, and going through different columns and seeing who may match up well with who. Whereas on the MentorCity platform, we can set up different search criteria, and utilizing our algorithms, it's very fast. It's very efficient to connect people together. So if you, especially when you have a lot of matches and a lot of mentoring relationships, the ability to dynamically connect people together is extremely quick and efficient. Typically in a manual environment, you have one individual, typically a full-time resource, that is running that mentoring program. So they're a dedicated resource, and that's pretty much their main focus. Traditionally, we see with our clients, the investment from a time perspective is that an administrator needs traditionally around 1 hour a week to maintain and administer the platform. So there's extremely high returns on that efficiency level. In the manual world, it's very tough to measure the results of mentoring relationships. It's very hard to report on how things are going and to get that real-time data. Whereas with our platform, we have the ability to give real-time feedback, track results, see progress along the way. And the platform is intelligent enough that it can actually give alerts to the admins. So if things are not being done, if there's been long periods of time that meetings of relationships have not happened, we can automate a lot of prompts and reminders through the system as well. In the manual method, we're having to create guides and resources and distribute those manually, whereas on the MentorCity platform, we have a lot of built-in functionality that allows us to deliver knowledge base. So guides and resources, coursework, you name it, can all be delivered through the platform as well. And also that can be reported on. In the manual method, we want to recognize people for their achievements. Typically we have, an annual awards dinner where we talk about how things are going. And on our platform, we've kind of built in some fun things to get people engaged. So we actually have virtual medals and badges. So things that can give recognition of advancement, of progression, of usage and adoption right through the platform itself. So I'm not going to say gamify, but certainly we make it more exciting for people to utilize the platform more because they're being recognized for their efforts right on the system itself. Okay. So let's talk about some of the different ROI pathways, and we're going to tie into the presentation a little bit later, because I think that's really important that we talk about, well, the whole what's in it for me. Why do I want to move from, let's say, a manual method to something like a cloud-based solution like what we're offering? KPMG saw double-digit 17 to 18% reduction in turnover from those engaged in a mentoring program. So I don't have to tell most of you, I'm sure that you understand the return there, but any single digit, let alone a double-digit reduction in turnover of staff is a huge return on investment. Traditionally, we see if an individual's annual salary is around $50,000, traditional cost of replacing that individual is 2 to 3 times salary. And we talk about things like downtime, training, uptime, lost productivity, etc. So if we're able to reduce the turnover, there's tremendous return right there. Another really exciting one, and we'll talk a little bit more about a case study later, but Hyundai was one of our clients, and they utilized the platform. And of the participants that they had on our platform, 70% of those participants saw a promotion or received a promotion in the time span that they were on the platform. So when we talk about, reduction in turnover, that's another, promotion and advancement is directly correlated to that, because at the end of the day, when people are happy, when they're fulfilled, when they're seeing advancements in their career, they are sticking around with that organization because they feel as if that organization is making a specific investment in themselves as individuals. Okay. Deloitte found that 61% of millennials will leave their current employer in the next 4 years. And this creates a loyalty challenge for organization. It's caused by various issues, such as not feeling fully utilized or mentored, or not being invested in by that organization. Another interesting pathway, 88% increase in managerial productivity when mentoring was involved versus only a 24% increase with training alone. So one of the things that we're seeing from the marketplace is a real big shift from training and coaching and moving more towards the mentoring space. So really leveraging the knowledge base and the power of those that you have within your organization to help to transfer knowledge, right? So whether it's a workforce that might be retiring and there's a lot of concerns around knowledge transfer and lost knowledge base and moving that over down to the younger groups. So a big shift in mentality from, let's say, even 5 to 10 years ago, where a lot of coaching and training was going on. A lot of organizations are now getting on the proverbial bandwagon of mentoring. Okay. The other thing we talked about is tracking results, because at the end of the day, it's really important that the system tells a story, and that will help give us feedback of how things are going. what's going well with our mentoring programs? What do we perhaps need to direct more attention to? There might be some gaps or, in terms of specific areas of development where there's more need that we don't have solutions for that we can then look to drive more. But at the end of the day, the system collects analytics about our members, so strengths, areas of development, languages. It also talks about engagement stats. So, how many goals have been set through the system? How many of those goals have been achieved? How many messages have been sent? How many meetings have happened? How many video or voice calls have been going on? Meeting feedback is another one. So getting feedback from relationships to provide to the administrators is really powerful to track the results and to help tell a story of how the mentoring programs are going. And we have a lot of really interesting graphs and stats that provide overviews of the programs. And we have a lot of downloadable reports also that give us feedback to help us kind of shift or alter our offerings and what we're trying to do within the mentoring programs. Really quickly about some of the user experiences I thought it'd be fun to talk about. I mentioned the one from Hyundai earlier with the really fantastic results of seeing 70% of those employees on the program receive promotions in the time frame that they were on the platform. We had the University of Toronto on the platform, still is. Tasks that would have taken hours have been automated, freeing up staff time to focus on other areas to add value, ultimately help them grow the number of supported mentors and mentees, and created an enhanced experience for participants and track their mentoring experiences. Another really exciting client of ours is the Government of Canada. They really leverage the power of the connections and the speed matching and the algorithms that we have to create connections in our platform. They've seen exceptional functionality and also support from us. HRPA, which is the Human Resources Professional Association, really big supporters of the platform. They found it very user-friendly for the thousands of members that they have on it. And the customer service is really impeccable. And that's one thing that you haven't experienced yet, and I really can't tell you much about, but certainly hopefully you can experience it at some point. But we take a really different approach to onboarding clients and the whole customer experience. We give a dedicated account manager to every account. And quite frankly, we make sure that any new client of ours is set up off to the races, sailing in smooth waters, setting up their program, helping them customize it, training their staff before we let go of the reins. And that's one of the reasons that we have really high adoption and retention rates, because of the fact that we don't let go. We don't want to let go until everyone is comfortable to be kind of moving on their own. And here we've got just a couple different of our clients that we have that we thought we'd highlight. I thought I'd make mention of the Building Designers Association of Australia, given that's close to home, with Ann and some of the other folks on the call today. But we've got, as I mentioned, organizations from around the world, from startups to Fortune 1000s, in pretty much every vertical that you can imagine. So before we kind of continue on, what I thought we would do is I'm going to transition this over to Sean. I want to actually start to show you guys some of the platform itself and translate some of what I've talked about in the slideshow into the actual experience and show you some of the features and functionality that help to deliver these returns on investment. So Sean, I'll pass it over to you.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Justin. That was amazing. So before I get started, you have to enable me to share. But I just want to thank Ann. Ann, I go to your webinars. I love your books, your cards, your content. You're the guru of mentoring for Australia, and you're one of my role models. And I really enjoy everything you produce. So thank you so much for being you and this partnership as well.
You're very welcome, Sean. And I know we met maybe 10 years ago at the International Mentoring Association conference over in the US there. And we've followed each other's work, and the feeling's mutual. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So I'm going to delve into MentorCity to show you how it works. I also want to thank everyone for joining tonight. I hope you find it engaging, and feel free to ask any questions as we go through the tour. Has anyone seen like a mentoring platform before that's on the call?
Not in detail.
Okay. Perfect. So what I'm going to show you tonight is how a mentoring platform like MentorCity could help you to track the return on investment, the ROI for your mentoring program. So really, as Justin's saying, to see the results of your mentorship program. So the first place that I want to start is the profile, because the profile allows you to collect information, data, how to segment information for your program. So the profile is really important because you can start to track what languages do your members speak? What are their roles? So are they both a mentor and a mentee, or are they one or the other? And how many people do they want to take on? Because the system actually controls that people won't be matched to more people than they could take on. You're also looking at development areas and specialized skills. And this is really interesting to track and to delve into. Like, what are our members or what are our employees looking to develop? And what are they strong in? And what's the gaps in terms of the mentees and the mentors? Employee resource groups is something that Justin spoke about, the DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. So tracking which employees are from which groups. You could easily download reports to report on specific groups of employees at your organization. And then, of course, you could track your favorite foods. This is just an example that you could basically have anything in here for a profile field, and you could make the matching about this. So you could set algorithms based on sports, values, hobbies, anything, and then you could add that to the search as well. There's also an employment section and a competency section. So people identify the areas that they want to develop and the areas that they're strong in, and it helps the algorithms to make good matches. The next section that I want to show you is matching. So, and I think Ann knows this. So a lot of people will come to us and they'll say that it takes months and months to make the matches. And if you think about that in ROI terms, if someone's saying it takes months and months and months to make matches, that means you as their employer are paying for months and months and months of salary. But when you have a platform like MentorCity, it takes the matching process down to even sometimes an hour or 2 hours to match. So I'm going to show you all the different ways that the platform helps make matching easier. The first way is a very self-directed way. So mentees could find their own mentors and vice versa. So right now I'm looking for a mentor that can help me with my self-confidence, my leadership skills, who speaks Spanish and is part of the Women's Network. And when I click save and search, my top mentors are displayed. So I can see that Martine is a 4 out of 5 in terms of compatibility to me. And she also meets these skills that I'm looking to develop. So I could look at her profile, and just like real life, I'd send her a note about why I'd like to set up a mentoring relationship with her. So she's going to receive an email saying, do you accept or decline this mentee? And then she could decide, and we could get started on the mentoring relationship. But everything is email generated. So that creates greater engagement for your mentoring program. So Martine is actually going to receive 3 reminders to accept the request, because this is actually the most important thing for a mentoring program, to move the relationship forward. But they're also going to receive reminders about filling in the mentoring agreement, setting goals, doing the program evaluation, any task that they need to do, they'll automatically receive reminders about that. So it takes away a lot of the burden from administrators. Some programs allow their members to find their own mentors. Some programs do administrative matching, and some programs do a combination of both. And there's really good research around both ways, whether it's self-directed, someone finds their own mentor, or if it's a min-matching. I think the research is almost about equal. one of my favorite ways of matching as the admin is speed match. And Justin mentioned the government of Canada. They come to us every year just for the matching. It takes them about 2 or 3 rounds of speed match to match all their employees, and then they go into matching members. And the reason why they keep coming back to us is that 95% of the matches are happy with the matches. So I'm going to show you speed match. So it basically compares the top mentee to the top mentor. So you could see that this match is 54% compatible. And then you can see exactly why. So you can decide, yes, I think that's a great match, or no, it isn't. And then very transparently, you see why we're making that recommendation. So for this match, it's around the development area of networking and the mentor feeling comfortable in networking. And also they speak the same language. So it allows you to see things side by side and match everyone very easily. Matching members is more like a manual process that you might be familiar with, but it takes the matching process down to about a minute. So I could see all my available mentees here. So I'm going to match Dan. So I could see Dan's profile, and I could type in a mentor's name if I already know a great mentor for Dan, or I could do some searches for them. And basically I would just click on match, and that establishes the relationship. So those are the different ways of matching. I was just checking the chat. So feel free to type in the chat if you have any questions about what you've seen so far. The next section that I want to show you is the relationship section. So also connecting things to ROI, what happens is a lot of programs, they'll use an Excel spreadsheet, they'll make all the matches, but then they have no idea what actually happens in those relationships. They don't really know, are the mentee and mentor meeting? Are they setting goals? How often are they meeting? How's it going? So when you have a platform like this, you're actually tracking everything that's happening in the relationship. So this is the relationship page, and I'll show you how the video works. So you could actually message back and forth. It's all real time, and you could jump in and out of video calls throughout the platform. And what makes the video very unique is the chat, because mentoring is a continued conversation. So you could always look back to the conversation and pick up from where you left off in that conversation. It automatically tracks the number of meetings. So as the admin, you could see how many meetings have they had, how many hours have they been involved in a mentoring relationship. And you could schedule meetings through the platform, even reoccurring meetings. So you could say, okay, for our relationship, we're going to meet every month for 6 months or 7 months. And so you can see that there's nothing really available for November because you guys are already in December. So happy December. But in December, I could schedule a meeting for Friday at 3 p.m. So it's actually looking at both my availability and the other person's availability. So you'll never get double booked. On this page, there's also a notes section. So think of yourself sitting at a coffee shop across the table from each other and jotting notes. You could jot notes here about a great book your mentor recommended or anything else. It's a good way to keep track of the conversations you're having. Also, the mentoring agreement is very important. So you could go through the mentoring agreement during your first or second meeting together and talk about the expectations. How is this relationship going to actually work? How are we going to meet? How do we handle confidentiality? And I have a question for Ron. So for the matching, is there an advantage in matching characteristics that are similar or different, or does it vary? Good question. So I have a feeling everyone has an opinion about this one. This is a big hot topic. So Ann, what is your take on matching based on characteristics?
I encourage people to be open to people who are quite different from them. I think, and in mentoring programs, I've often used instruments like the Clifton Strengths Finder, or even the Myers-Briggs type indicator, which gives you a neutral way of assessing, well, personality, you might say, in the case of Myers-Briggs, but that links into characteristics, as does the Strengths Finder, even though you're looking for specific strengths. And I think it's really useful then to have that way of talking about, well, I'm strong in this area and you're strong in that area. And how does that work for you? And how does this work for me? And even though with the Clifton Strengths Finder, it's kind of it's looking at your innate strengths, but every strength can be developed and used in your work and personal life. And indeed, by looking at your weaknesses, it's not about trying to develop them and get super good at those, but what it is about looking at, okay, how can I be a bit more strategic about those things that are not my natural strengths, and develop enough to get me by. So I think I encourage difference, diversity. It's good to have some things in common, enough to build rapport, but I think it's really useful to have plenty of differences too, and that helps us in life as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Thank you. Yeah, I agree as well. For matching, I like matching based on values, because I think that creates a commonality when you have similar values, something to work from. And then I also, for the tool, I feel like matching based on specialized skills and development areas, because that gives them something to work on together. But some of my mentors, the opposites attract is definitely a good thing, because it pushes me out of my comfort zone, having a mentor that's very different from myself.
And the skills, the idea of the skills is something more objective too, and it's linked to their goals of what they want to develop.
Has the MentorCity platform been developed originally by MentorCity, but initially created by others? It was developed by MentorCity. We started the platform in 2011, and it's evolved ever since. We never stop evolving. We have lots of exciting things on the horizon, so it's quite a fun journey. Thank you, Ron. So the mentoring agreement is fully customizable based on your vision for the mentoring program. So say you want every relationship to be 6 months, you could set it so that every relationship 6 months. And then you could actually schedule emails that go out throughout the 6 months to give people ideas of what to do during each month of the relationship. So that also creates greater engagement throughout the mentoring relationship. Because I know I kind of said this before, but sometimes with mentoring, people will meet once and then they're not sure what to do next. So having this structure really moves them along. And the other thing that moves them along in their relationship is goals. And I'm really excited about goals because it kind of takes a mentoring relationship from like talking to really having something to work together on. So the mentee could set goals and sub-goals, the goals leading up to that bigger goal, and really collaborate and work together with their mentor on achieving those goals. And we have lots of automated messages around goals. So when someone checks off a goal, they get a high five email, or they'll get messages about setting goals or when the due date for goals are. So it really pushes the relationship forward, our goals section. And there's progress, there's resources I'm going to show you in a second. And then bringing it back to the ROI, there's a program evaluation that's at the end of the mentoring relationship. So what we recommend is having a question that's connected to your business objectives for mentoring and tying it into the ROI. So if your objectives are loyalty, retention, you may want to have a question about, as a result of this mentoring program, how much more likely are you to recommend a friend to our organization or to our company? And then you could also have another survey at the beginning to kind of gauge where are they at the beginning of the mentoring relationship to where are they at the end of the mentoring relationship. And then I'm going to show you in a report how you could kind of see both and compare the survey to the program evaluation to see how much more loyal or dedicated they are to the organization as a result of mentoring. So that's the relationship page. I'm also going to go over some of the other features we have. We have group mentoring. Group mentoring became even more and more popular as a result of COVID. So you could have different groups and you could assign different people to each group and they could collaborate and schedule meetings and work together as a group. We have a courses section, so you could actually upload as many courses as you want. So this is an example of a course. And when you open the course, you can see all the different modules. And the modules can complement the mentoring relationships. And you could do surveys as well, right here to gauge what people are feeling about the content. You could promote events and track event registration through the platform and build up a great resource section and categorize resources. So if it's job postings or anything else, blog posts that you want to categorize in the resource section, you could do that. And then my favorite feature is discussions. And the reason why I love discussions is that because it brings together everyone's perspectives, everyone's ideas into one place. So say a mentee has a burning question. They're up for a job promotion, but they're not sure which one to take. They could talk to their mentor, but they could also talk to all the mentors on the platform to get their ideas about and their feedback as they decide, make that important decision for their career. So that's discussions. And there's also an app. So you could, of course, download the app and have everything on your phone. It's a little more fun. Even the video calls are a little better and more fun. And there's a question. Is there one platform for each different type of organization, government versus association versus company versus nonprofit, etc.? So basically what we do is we allow you to customize and brand the platform for your organization. So if it's a government, you would have like the government's logo here and government's colors. So it's only for your internal employees or your internal members. If you're an association, all the members that belong to your association would only be matched with each other. Is there a difference between the type of platforms? It's actually based on how you customize it. So if you are a government, you might have different questions that you want to ask in the profile fields. You might also customize things slightly different. So let me show you an example. So as an example, whoops, I'm typing in the chat. That's not good. Okay, so this is one of the programs that's using MentorCity. So it's for Indigenous people across Canada. So it's a nonprofit organization. And you can see how they've kind of brought in their logo, changed their colors, and then they've created a whole series of announcements. So you can really start to customize the look, the feel of the program for your audience or for your members. And the other thing that they've done really well is developed a whole series of courses that their members could leverage. So getting started for mentors. And then they have lots of videos and downloadable PDFs as well. So you can really customize the look, the feel for your audience. And this is all about scholarship, education information, interesting info. And they've done a lot of different events on the platform as well. So you can kind of see how they're branding things right through the platform. The last segment that I'd love to talk about is the analytics. So as the admin, you could tap into analytics, which of course transitions to ROI. So the first thing I want to show you is how to look at your members. So let's say we want to see everyone that's part of the employee resource group, the women's resource group, women's network. So right now we have 84 members, and when I click search, we have 3 members that are part of the employee resource group for women. And then we could download a custom report, because this is the group of people we really want to know about for the program. So we could decide, what do we want in this custom report? So of course we want their name. We want to look at specialized skills and development areas. So what are they looking to develop, this group of people? And then we also want to look at all their goals, goals set, goals achieved, how many goals were achieved, and then the program evaluation and the surveys, because we want to see how were they at the beginning of the relationship to how are they after the relationship, or even what the long-term success, so a year down the road. So when you click save and save, it downloads a report, and you can start to analyze that data. The other way you could analyze data is through a series of graphs and charts that showcase the main milestones of your program. So you could dive into how many available mentees are there, how many available mentors are there, so how balanced is your program? How many people are setting goals and achieving goals, doing the mentoring agreements, and actually scheduling calls and on calls, so you're tracking the time of each meeting through the platform. You're also able to track event stats, resources stats, and the course stats here as well. So that's a brief, I don't know about brief, but it's a summary of how the platform works and how you could connect it back to the ROI for your organization. I'll now hand it back to Justin.
Thanks, Sean. That was fantastic. Appreciate that. And thanks for all those questions along the way. By the way, before we continue on, does anyone have any other questions so far in terms of what we've gone through? Any questions, perhaps that topics that we may not have hit on? Just give anyone a moment if they want to jump in.
I do have a question, if I could raise it at this time.
Please go ahead, Ron.
Sure. Some associations I'm familiar with really would like to have total involvement by the group, let's say your group of people. Other organizations want to have very little of it. With your experience in your companies, what's the most common type of involvement that you have with these other groups? Do you find that you're very involved, or you're very little involved? What's the most common thing that you have with your people?
Yeah, it's a good question. From what I see, most organizations, associations, especially about 80% of our clients are association-based, mostly like professional associations, so engineers, teachers, lots of doctor associations we work with. And most of them will want our involvement at the setup stage of their mentoring program, so helping them kind of get it set up. And then once they launch, we typically will meet with them once a month, just to share best practices, see how things are going. But otherwise, we're there for like technical support at any time that they have questions or concerns. That's kind of our role. And then most of the programs like to run the program on their own, from what we're seeing.
It's a good question, Ron. And I think ultimately, to Sean's point, it's really one of the differentiating factors between us and a lot of other providers out there, in that we do really take a hands-on approach. But when I say hands-on, I mean, we take it hands-on to the point that based on the customer's needs. So we kind of get everyone off to the races. Like I said, we want to make sure that we build a program with the administrators that's really valuable. really relays their program offering, and it's really tailored for their business. As we showed you with that one example with Rivers to Success, every instance is going to be unique. How organizations are utilizing it, what are the different areas that they're utilizing, how they've customized it. Some even integrate with other systems as well. So there's a lot of ways that, and typically in the beginning, there's a lot more heavy lifting from our end in terms of the proverbial build phase, in terms of getting the ship built. And then once we've built the ship and we've provided the training and whatnot to get the ship out to sea, so to speak, it's based on the end user's needs. So some organizations will meet with once a week, and that's based on their desire to meet with us more frequently. Others, it's more hands-off, and it may be once a month or once a quarter. But at the end of the day, we have a very unique personalized approach in that you have a dedicated account manager. You have any questions, issues, concerns, if you have a new employee that needs onboarding and training and you don't have the time, happy to do it, which is a very different approach than a lot of other organizations. And I think it's one of the reasons that we have a really great success rate from a reviews and customer service perspective.
So you have the opportunity, once a organization gets started with you, they can make their changes. They might say, yeah, get us more involved, or they might say, no, we don't really need you. We can do some of it ourselves. And it sounds like you're flexible enough to make that change.
Absolutely. And there's no extra cost to the end user. That's the other thing, is that a lot of organizations out there, if you want more of their time, they're going to charge you for it. And we don't believe in that. We take a much different approach. At the end of the day, we want to see the program succeed, because when the program succeeds and individuals see that benefit through the program, and it has that beautiful trickle-down effect that mentoring offers, we're happy. We see success in that. So that's really our goal.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Pleasure. Any other questions? And keep in mind, just as an FYI to the folks that joined a little bit later on through the demo for the webinar, we are recording it. So we will be sharing a link to the recording with Ann so that you can take a look at what you might have missed as well. And last but not least, can you support tech support to Australia? Absolutely, Lorna. Around the world, we've got clients pretty much everywhere. I can't say everywhere, but representing most geographies. But absolutely, we're very flexible. If we need to get on a call, as we're doing, it's almost 7 o'clock in the evening here. Happy to do that. Or if it's 5, 6 a.m. in the morning for certain countries, we've done that as well. So we offer support around the world. Great question, though.
We have a really good testimonial on our homepage from an Australia organization that talks just about your question, Lorna. She's very impressed with our support in Australia.
Our level of support is really unique. Like I said, I don't want to harp on any further, but it's really something that we take a lot of pride in, for sure. All right, so unless there's any other questions, what I wanted to quickly do is I'm just going to show this last slide here real quick. Give me one quick second here. So last but not least, a big thank you to everyone. What we wanted to do is kind of to extend a little bit of an offer to all of Ann's audience. Quite frankly, it's to all of you that are on the webinar and everyone that might not have been able to join us live today, in that we want to offer a free 30-day trial offer for the Mentoring Works audience. So if anyone's interested, if you like what you see, if you want to play around with it, if it's something that you think could be of interest to you or even folks that you know, we'd love to help you get started. And by doing that, we want to set you up with one of our account managers to take you down that path and to get you on the platform for free for a 30-day trial. It's not something that we traditionally offer because there's a lot of time investment from our end to getting individuals up and running. But because of our relationship with Ann, and really just because of our thanks and our desire to really help other organizations see the value and see some of the fantastic returns, we thought we'd extend this off. So if anyone's interested in kind of taking us up on the offer, a lot of you should have already gotten an email from me in the past couple days with a little personal reminder. I sent individual emails off to everyone. So you should have my contact info. If not, you can make a note now, or I will be sharing it with Ann and she'll pass it along with a link to the video recording. Please feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to learn a little bit more about your unique situations and see how we can get you started on the platform as well. Sean, anything else from your end?
It's been an absolute pleasure being here tonight, and thank you for joining.
Thanks again, Ann, for for organizing this and for your time and setting this up. And thank you all for your time and meeting with us today.
It's been my great pleasure, and it's been an education for me as well. So I commend MentorCity to all of you online today, and what a fantastic offer to be able to actually try it out for 30 days. I think that's an amazing thing to do. So thank you, Sean, and thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Ann. And thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you, Ann. Appreciate it. Thank you all for your time.
Thanks, Lorna.
Have a fantastic rest of your day. It's been a pleasure. And hopefully we'll be able to speak with you all soon. I look forward to it.
Thank you. I look forward to it too. I enjoyed it. I've noticed one of your earlier slides that you talked about in the words dinner. If we were all together at the same time, we could have a dinner together while we're talking here. We'll do that.
Happy to break some bread. Happy to break some bread with you, Ron, or anyone else, by all means.
Thank you, Simone, as well.
Sure. Thank you all.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Simone. Thank you, Lorna. Appreciate everybody's time. All the very best.
Bye all.
Right.